There is an upcoming episode of a Starstruck podcast, which I had not heard of until yesterday, Dion. But some Purdue fans sent some clips that have been circulating on social media. Apparently, this is a podcast that they're promoting on Instagram right now, hosted by Coach Carlos Knox. And it seems like a great podcast. I've just never seen anything from it. So I'm gonna tap into the Starstruck podcast. Matt Painter is appearing on an upcoming episode of the Starstruck podcast. And he was asked about how he ended up at Purdue. Now, for those that don't know the backstory here, Matt Painter actually grew up an Indiana Hoosier fan, but then ended up playing at Purdue. And look, as someone that I grew up a Michigan fan, I went to Michigan State. Uh, I am well familiar with the heartstrings versus the brain on certain decisions that could maybe mold your life and where you are headed. But ultimately, we all know what happened to Matt Painter. He ended up going to Purdue. He ended up playing 4 years. Now he is one of the two greatest coaches in Purdue basketball history. He talks through this decision, though, in a way that is more vulnerable, more transparent, more honest than I've ever heard him talk about this. And I'm going to play a clip from it. Again, go support the Starstruck podcast. Follow them on Instagram. Make sure you listen to this episode when it drops because it's going to be a hit. But this is Matt Painter telling the story of how he ended up at Purdue despite growing up an Indiana Hoosiers fan.
My dad went to the Final Four in 1976 and 81 in the Palestra in Philadelphia. He took me in 87 when Indiana won it all down Louisiana. So, we grew up, from a basketball standpoint. Well, we grew up loving Indiana. We grew up hating Purdue, too. Purdue home. And I told my dad.
Whoops, sorry. I just lost it. Could you hear that? It kind of felt like we couldn't hear that.
I could hear it, but his accent makes it tougher to hear, if that makes sense. It wasn't
Paint,
necessarily like a volume issue.
Paint coming in with an accent. That's brutal. Hold on. Let me go back to this and make sure that I have this. It was the Starstruck podcast. I got scared we couldn't hear it, and like my finger just had a spasm.
My dad
just gonna run the clip back.
Won in the Palestra in Philadelphia. He took me in 87 when Indiana won it all down Louisiana. So, we grew up, from a basketball standpoint. Well, we grew up loving Indiana. We grew up hating Purdue, too. Purdue home. And I told my dad, I said, man, I ain't going to Purdue. Team, right? I hate Purdue. That work.
Nothing. Oh, brutal. Starstruck podcast. You're going to have to find the clip on your own. He said, we grew up hating Purdue. I grew up in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. Grew up hating Purdue. Called my dad. I said, Dad, I'm not going to Purdue. I hate Purdue. His dad then went on to talk him into the decision to go to Purdue with this very sage advice. He said, let me explain. In life, you will encounter a business decision. It's a business decision versus what you want to do. What you want to do versus what's best for you. Sometimes what you want to do is what's best for you, and that's beautiful. But never put what you want to do ahead of what's best for you. And that was ultimately the advice that ended up leading Matt Painter to choose Purdue. As Painter says at the end of this clip, I didn't really pick Purdue. I picked Gene Katie. And I played for Gene Katie, and that changed the rest of my life. Obviously, Matt Painter now would die for Purdue. He's given his life to Purdue University. So, but just hearing him say that out loud, I mean, what a vulnerable, what an honest quote about the story of this. Yeah, I hate Purdue. Those were my exact words at the time. And a person who grew up hating Purdue is now one of the most influential figures in Purdue history. What do you think of this whole story here? This video is brought to you by NBA 2K Labs, or maybe college football labs, because the people behind 2K Labs have just built something awesome. CFBLabs.com has everything you need to play college football 26 even better. Cart, you've been playing the game, right?
I have been, but I'm behind the eight ball, Gregory. There's a lot of people out there who got a little bit of edge on me, but the good folks over at 2K Labs got me covered. They got the playbooks I need, the plays, the head-to-head coaches, knowing some teams. Obviously, way too many college football teams. I need the inside edge here, and they got all different types of things to help me get that edge.
Yeah, I jumped in and started playing Road to Glory over the weekend, and I ended up like a two-star recruit that did not get one snap in season one because I chose the wrong school with the wrong roster that was way too loaded. Had I known that CFBLabs.com exists, I would have made a much more wise decision in my Road to Glory mode. They've got teams, playbooks, coaches, team comparison tools. You can literally see every single play in the game, every player in the game, their rating, what they're good at, all in one consolidated place online to help you make the right choices and win more games in college football 26. CFBLabs.com. Go check it out.
I mean, I think Indiana fans are going to look at it like, well, if a few dominoes go our way, Matt Painter's our head coach. And Purdue fans are going to look at it like the dominoes went our way, so Matt Painter's our coach. I just want to let Indiana fans know this. Matt Painter would probably not coach Indiana for as long as he's coached Purdue because Indiana wouldn't go through the ups and downs that Purdue went with Matt Painter, right? That allowed him to get to this point in his career, that allowed him to establish such a dominant team. It didn't happen from day one. The expectations at Indiana are much different. I think his quote, don't allow what you want to do to get in the way of what's best for you, or I might be paraphrasing that a little bit and just made it my own. I'm about to start saying it in my day-to-day life. Being at Purdue is what's best for Matt Painter. Being at Indiana is not what's best for Matt Painter. His personality fits Purdue. Um, I think clearly he made the right choice, and now he's the greatest coach in Purdue history and one of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing. Because look, I'm no historian. I was not alive when Matt Painter chose to attend Purdue University coming off of the 1989 Big Ten basketball season. But Sports Reference exists, so I can go back into history and I can look at numbers that tell me what happened, Dion. And I assumed when hearing Matt Painter say, well, it's a business decision. I want to play for Gene Keady. I sort of assumed that that would mean in 1989 that Gene Keady and Purdue were the healthier program or the healthier team, whatever situation Painter was walking into. It's like, well, yeah, I'd love to go to Indiana, but Purdue is better, right? The problem is the year before Matt Painter committed, Indiana won the Big Ten, went 15-3, was the regular season champion, and Purdue finished sixth out of 10 teams, went 8-10 in the league with a 15-16 record. So I like business decision must not just mean success, because Indiana was more successful when Matt Painter chose to go to Purdue instead of Indiana. Now I don't know. Yeah, maybe Gene Keady made him some promises or something that Bobby. That's a joke, Purdue fans. Be careful. That's a joke because Paint doesn't do promises. I've always been told that. I would assume it's more like this. I would assume that Matt Painter, whatever he felt about Indiana basketball, the bond that Gene Keady built with him through the recruiting process was just way too good to pass up. And something I firmly believe, Matt Painter's always been about his people. It's something I admire about him. I think I'm wired the same way. I want to be driven by working with people that motivate me, that I mesh with mentally and emotionally. And I want to do things with a group of people rather than do it individually. Paint has always been kind of this, I don't know, like this physical embodiment of trying to elevate all of these people around him. Look at all the people he's helped build careers with. Look at the coaches that he's put onto bigger careers, like Micah Shrewsbury. I think ultimately this is just a crazy story because I didn't even realize Paint grew up an Indiana fan, but it's a story of betting on himself. Because if Paint viewed it as a business decision to go play for a guy he just loved and built a relationship with in Keady over trying to make it at Indiana, to me, the business decision is I wanted to bet on myself in a situation where Purdue wasn't actually that great the year I went there, and Indiana was on top of the world, and I still knew that Purdue was the path for me. I admire that from Payne because it was a bold decision.
So I honestly took it as Purdue was the worst team, and that's why it was better for him. Like what he wanted to do was go to the school where he like wouldn't have had much opportunity, would have got lost in the shuffle, so on and so forth. He chose to go to the school, and I'm saying all this, I have no idea how much Matt Painter played at Purdue in terms of like actually being in the game, but he chose to go to the school where he could be like a focal point, and then he wound up being the team's head coach. I feel like that was kind of like what the point of all of it is, like what's best for you isn't always like what you view as the dream job or opportunity, right? Like everybody wants to go to Duke, UNC, Kentucky. Somebody got to go to Arkansas.
You got to go somewhere where you have opportunity too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably fair. Probably fair. I think you hit the nail on the head though. If I'm an Indiana fan, I need therapy after listening to this quote. I mean, good Lord, are you kidding me? Matt Painter wanted to be a Hoosier and hated Purdue? Really? That guy? And we come on. We had Mike Woodson and Archie Miller. Like, what are we doing, man? That's insane.
And now they got Darian.
Oh God, dog. I would be disgusted.